Most of the delegates who came to Berlin for the Conference on Child Labor were in their early teens, but the issues at hand were anything but child's play. Much of the international legislation for the last 30 years has focused on eliminating child labor. Among them is an all-out ban on employment of children under 18 by the International Labour Organization, or ILO. But controversially, these youth believe that working should be one of their basic rights. Antonio was one of the delegates from Guinea-Bissau.
O meu pai morreu. Portanto,
my father is dead, and my mother couldn't send me to school because she had no money, so I was forced to go to work in the mornings and to go to school in the afternoons. Still, despite working, and thanks to working, I'll be done with my studies a year and a half from now. I know that there's an ILO rule that they are against children's work, but if I hadn't worked, I wouldn't have had any food, I wouldn't have gotten this far, and I would have just stayed at home, without work and without learning.
Manfred Liebe is one of the few adults who attended the conference in Berlin. He's a founding member of ProNetz, a group of children's rights activists at Berlin's Technical University, who facilitated the event.
The politics of the ILO is based on a certain model or idea of childhood, which excludes completely all kind of work, and they will substitute work by school. But in the life of these children, work is a central part, not the only part, but a central part, and they didn't want to miss it. They want to change the conditions in which they live, and they don't want to live longer under poverty, but they liked to work. They like to work under conditions which guarantee their dignity and where they are not exploited. But it's a fundamental difference with the ILO, because the children wanted to work in better conditions, and the ILO want to eliminate all kind of child work.
In Mongolia, in Uruguay, Bangladesh, and Burkina Faso, having to work to support themselves and their families is part of the children's everyday lives. So they're fighting for better working conditions, better pay, and for recognition for the work that they do. Their motto is yes to work and no to exploitation. This means getting vacation and being able to take time off work for sick days or school-related activities. It also means having time to go to school has to be part of the working arrangement. Doing dangerous work or having to work without pay is against the movement's motto. But under the proper conditions, children like Lisandro from Peru view their job as an important part of their education.
Reconocemos y valoramos la importancia de la organización.
In our organization, we have changed the meaning of work. Usually, it's thought of as dangerous, as an impediment to our development. But you have to look at work also as a learning possibility. When we work, we feel valuable for society and for ourselves. And as children, we are the ones who know what's best for us. We are against globalization because all those people want is that children just play and go to school. We have a different model. We see things from our reality of children and childhood in our countries.
The International Labour Organization estimates there are about 250 million children workers between the ages of 5 and 17 worldwide. On the ground, the working children's movement can be as different as the places the delegates come from. In Afghanistan, small groups usually bring together about 20 or 30 people. More than 100 of these have sprung up in the 2 years since the fall of the Taliban. In Africa, a large network connects individual groups and sets a broader agenda. Known as the African Working Children's Movement, it also maintains educational centers and provides other services. And in Peru, where the movement has been active for 30 years, some of those who organized it then are now parents and advisors to the newest recruits. Those who attended the international meeting were chosen locally by their groups, but 2 delegates from South Asia who'd been elected to fly to Berlin could not come because of problems getting a visa. Their stories prove that being a kid and a political activist is not always easy.
The delegate of Pakistan couldn't come because the embassy in Islamabad wanted a very well elaborated explanation what he wanted to do in Berlin. And this child, he couldn't explain it very well. And they didn't believe him that he really will go to a meeting organized by children, and they refused. The reason in India was different. The child had a passport where the father was marked as a responsible person, but the father disappeared some years ago. And in the consulate they told that it's not enough that only the mother declares that the father disappeared. They need a sentence of a court.
Watching the children exchange ideas and articulate plans for the World Children's Movement last week, one might have wondered whether just being kids was still part of their agenda. But looking into a break room at the Faith Center in Berlin left little doubt that even serious activists can have a good time. Katja Komkova-Wolpert, DW Radio, Berlin.